So let's try that again. Open the door. Open the door. Hey everyone, my stupid Wi-Fi connection just acting up a little bit, so my wife is going to help me kick it, but hopefully it should be a lot better now than it was. See, people are starting to come in. T, Jake, Courtney. Thoughts on good Greek? Really good. Hey, Tiny. Good Greek. You know, that's actually a really good thing because, like, I love Greek food. It's like one of my favorite. Um, um, yeah, Jake? No, because I don't even know how to say that. Normus? Dixie Normus? Oh, wow. Good one. Um, it's not. It, yeah. Give the guy with the brain injury a break, but that was awesome. um, so, I've been doing a lot of thinking this week about how I kind of wanted to do my podcast this week and everything. And, it's kind of like evolving through, hey, Stevie Ray, hey, Tim, hey, Sake, hey, Jake, hey, Tiny, everyone that's here so far, T, CMK just joined, Warhammer, Stevie Ray, a lot of people already. That's wow. Thank you all for being here. Hi, Anna Lemma. Um, so, I've kind of figured out how I would like to see this to go from here on, and it's kind of I want to do the Spud show, the Spuddly Speaks, kind of sort of like a talk show, and but base it around a lot of mental health because that is probably my biggest passion, is, and it's more so than just like mental health. It's helping people. And Tay, I'm from Canada, west coast of Canada. Um, and my wife will be here prompting me if you guys have questions. But I'm kind of going to get to that in a second. So, how I kind of see it is I want to tell you guys my story and some of the stories I know. And so most weeks what I'm going to do is kind of give you guys a story, a kind of funny intro. I'll talk about a few things that might have happened this week and how I dealt with them or took them. And then that's where I want to start kind of taking questions, having people on. Like, I know Jake's in here. He's a great guy. I've seen his stuff, and I think he'd be really good to come on, talk back and forth. I have my best friend Russ that trying to get up there, and he'll be able to do it. A Tiny that's in here, have pretty good banter going. So I want to bring people from all aspects of life together. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to shape out of this right now. So, you guys are the beginning people and everything like that. And I'm so happy that you guys are here watching this. And it's not just for me, but it's also for you guys, right? And there's been a lot of, and thank you, Tim. And guys, if I don't catch gifts in that, it's really not because I it's because I sometimes miss it. And, you know, my mentor told me to never, ever not acknowledge your gifters. And so, you know, I'm definitely going to be doing acknowledging anyone that gifts and sends likes, because likes are just as important as gifts. Gifts don't really mean it. If people like this and someone gets something out of this, that's what means the most to me. If this stays a little tiny thing that 10 people watch or 4 people watch, as long as someone watches, then I'm doing what I need to do. So, and I'm going to kind of tell you guys how this whole thing kind of started in my head. So, you know, about 4 years ago, hello, Mason. Well, thanks for the follow. You know, about 4 years ago, I ended up having a pretty rough time in life. They put me on some wrong pills too fast, and it made me go crazy, wacko. And I ended up in mental ward at one of the local hospitals here. And let me tell you, it was the worst week of my life. If jail feels like what it felt like to be in that ward for the week, then, like, yeah, you don't want to go to jail even, like, let alone a mental ward, because they take everything away from you, every right and freedom. And it's like, can I go to the bathroom on my own, sir? Can I, like, they feed you at the right time, and, you know, that's not me. I just, whatever, like, I still have my independence, and I can still think for myself. I just don't choose the right decisions at times. So help me choose the right decisions, but don't make it so I'm just, you know, following the rules. Like, I'll do that to a point, but so a couple things happened to me. And so the two things that I will forever remember about being there is when I used to work security, I actually trained up in hospitals. One of my first shifts was being a patient sitter, funny enough, on a mental ward at another local hospital, and watching a girl that had self-harmed and stuff like that, right? So it, you know, I knew the game, and there was this one nurse that must have been having a bad night. We all get it. And the inmates, as I called them while I was in there, started arguing with her. And you can imagine what about 30 people, from being just slightly crazy to we had God in there. And, you know, he was the one guy I knew not to piss off, because, you, like, seriously, you don't piss off God, because that's the one guy in there that really has nothing to lose anymore. He was my cookie god, because I gave him my cookies and he left me the hell alone. And it was the best trade I ever made. I'm diabetic, didn't need him anyways. But, you know, I almost became the Don of the mental ward. Why they didn't keep me in there, I'll never know. And while it was on the mental ward, like, I'm looking not only as a mental patient, but as a security standpoint. So this night, this nurse goes and it's just like, it's past 9 o'clock, it's time for your snack time, and you guys, you need to turn the TVs off. No TVs while you're eating your snacks. And so the inmates keep kind of reacting to it and stuff. And then this lady probably made the biggest mistake that she's ever made in her life. And she goes to the wall and they have a sign taped up. And she rips it off the wall, goes in the front of everyone and goes, "Can't you read? Can't you see what it says? TVs must be off at 9 during snack time." and now the guys are going up against her and like swarming her, and I'm like, great. Like, this is the second night of me being in a mental ward, and I'm going to get locked down for there being a riot. And I'm like, and I'm trying to deal with this. So I went, screw it. I'm like, if I'm going to go down, let's have some fun with this. And I just stood up and looked at them and said, look, you idiots, you're giving them every right to do what she's doing right now. And I'm pretty sure that she'll admit that she made a mistake treating us like children. But you're also showing her that we are children. So I'm like, go sit back in your seats and sit down and just eat your bloody sandwich, and you can go back to doing whatever you want to after snack time's done, and just chill. And everyone went back to their seats and sat down and ate their sandwiches, and the nurse gave me extra cookies, which I gave to God. And security came running down, and there's like 6 of them going, we just got called for a riot on the mental ward. I'm like, oh, no, man, I took care of that 5 minutes ago. You guys are slow. And sat down. Like, how they ever let me out of this place, I don't know. Towards the end of my stay, when they decided that I was good enough to leave, the inmates were all watching Dr. Phil. And even before I'd been in there, if there's one person I cannot stand on this earth, it is Dr. Phil. And he is the most pretentious bastard that I've ever seen on TV. And all of us are watching Dr. Phil. And I'm like, why are we watching Dr. Phil? I'm like, we are all in here because of literally the crap that he spews, and no one's helping us right now. We're watching Dr. Phil. And, yeah, and they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, so you want this? We're going to do Dr. Spud. Because I didn't want them all knowing my name in there, because, I'm crazy enough to know that you don't do crazy. Just saying. Certain kinds of crazy. So I'm like, let's do Dr. Spud. I'll do Dr. Spud. And there was this one kid that was very unsure of himself, parents very hard on him, and we had been talking a lot and became friends, and we did this whole Dr. Spud skit. And like, I started off, it's like, well, Joe, what's wrong? He's like, my mommy and daddy were mean to me. They didn't let me have the newest video game. And I'm like, well, suck it up, you buttercup. Just get off your fucking, like, and it was just, it was like the most hilarious thing. And everyone in the room was laughing. Everyone was relaxed. And then people started telling stories and jokes, and that's the best therapy I ever had, and it was the most fun. So that's what I want this to be, is therapy and fun, right? And then also, putting some stuff together that my warped mind will put together at times. And that's kind of, my wife and I were talking about civilizations and stuff like that, and tracing everything back and to the Mesopotamian people, right? And, my mind's pretty, hey, big kid, my mind's pretty, yeah, at times. And like, Mesopotamians, I know she's talking about this, but why is she talking about
Kids, so I can't.
huh?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, I thought I said hi back. The wife's always right. So yeah, Mesopotamia. She was talking. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I'm like, for some reason, I'm thinking Aztecs. But then I'm like, hey, hun, Mesopotamians. Do you remember that kid show Disney Recess? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, do you remember there was like JT or TJ or something, the kind of weird kid that was smart, kind of like the Zach Morris from the Saved by the Bell, and then you had the geeky girl that was his friend, and she wanted to do all this work on it, and he just wanted to like skate by, and then he ended up staying up all night and doing this wonderful project, and because like they were the ones that started irrigation and this and that and this and that. And I'm like, oh my god, like one of my biggest history lessons came for like TV show made for 8 to 12-year-olds. I'm like, but I learned it, and I kind of had fun doing it. And so this week's been like really hard because I went and saw my new neurologist in that, and I have to go for more blood tests, more scans, whatever. Just, I don't even care because I'm still here. I'm not even going to think about that crap. But I let it get to me. And, I was kind of thinking, what am I going to talk about this week? And I'm just like, oh my God, my wife and I talked this morning, and I can, like, make how one of my, like, aha moments to get myself out of a ditch is I linked it back to a kid's show that made me realize that this week had its ups and downs, but I had this week. And chances are I'll have tomorrow. And as long as I keep having good weeks and tomorrow, who am I to complain? Right? And so, instead of kind of playing the poor me, I'm going to hide. I'm going to just wallow. Why isn't everyone coming to save me? I took the time to reflect this week, and instead of letting all the good points that I saw from last week and taking those in a way to make them bad points, I actually took them to build me back up. And, that was a huge thing for me to do because normally I just keep going down and down and spiraling. I was able to stop that downward spiral, and I don't even have to talk about it anymore. Like, it's just like, hey, some shit sucked this week, but I can move on. And I can take, like, one of the funnier things from this week is Live Radar Steven. We were in Jake's chat room, and I think it was the word penis. Apparently, if you type in the word penis, like, TikTok takes great offense to the word penis. But you can say, like, cock, twigs and berries, schlong, dick. But, if you type penis, a physical human thing, hey, that's not right. But we can joke about bananas and yeah, like, I'm just like, and I'm like, no, there's no way if I push the limits on this that it's actually going to give me a violation and do anything to me. I'm like, I've never got a violation before. So, against better judgment, I went and said, yes, post this in the room. And then all of a sudden, I find myself, like, sitting on the outside going, what the fuck just happened? And it was like a short ban, but I got like a day ban or something like that because it was my first violation. But because I typed the word penis in, I am now a threat to society or something like that. And I'm like, wow. Like, you can't make shit like that up. And it's just like you just look back at the day and all you can do is laugh with some of this. I'm like, I understand why so many creators now just kind of keep laughing at this stuff. Because you can't make some of this stuff up in life. It's I don't know how I did this, but like this week is just like I said, it's been just I've let go. I just don't give a crap on so much stuff, and so I was talking to my best friend Russ, and pretty much said like, dude, like, why the hell can't we like agree to disagree? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, like I've met all these creators on TikTok. And I'm like, and it ranges from smaller guys up to bigger guys. But the people that I'm meeting, oh, it does. But it doesn't matter who I'm meeting. The people that mean the most on here stay who they are, no matter how small or how big they are, right? They stay true to themselves. And like I've been lucky enough to be exposed to like Jake and Mama Connie and Courtney and Radar and New Psychic Medium and Tony Elin and um, the list goes on and on and on. Like and these are all people that have um, religious views that are different, beliefs that are different, backgrounds that are different. We're all from different places in the world, and but we all get along. Um, we're all there for each other, and yeah, there's times that people kind of try to infiltrate families, or you have people that hate that we just you do you is our mantra, like you do you, and if it clashes too much with our views, then hey, you go your way, we'll go our way. But you do you and we'll do us, and as long as that coexists together, great. We'll fight to the death for each other. And that is such a like wholesome thing to be a part of. And it was one of the most rewarding things I did when I was a security guard, because it is amazing what us as North Americans do to a lot of these people from third world countries that aren't really third world countries, right? Like, you're getting fully trained doctors coming from India and from China and from Mexico, and they're having to work as security guards to save up enough money to write an exam to prove that they're smart enough to be a doctor up here. And so there's no option of doing like training like a med student up here or anything like that, or nurses from other countries to be training and stuff. You have to do it their way. But we're lacking all these nurses and doctors, and they're like, oh, we can't hire enough of them. That's the problem right now. No, the problem is that the government has put all these roadblocks in so they don't have to pay for them all to be trained. And it keeps the salaries up, and it keeps this up and this up, and screw the public. Because most governments aren't for the public. It's pretty much sad it comes down to this. It's like, which billionaire or millionaire is going to screw you less than the other billionaire or millionaire? Like, the good old politicians that would get in there and do the battling for the little guy are starting to get far and few between. But I also see some of it picking up. And like people like our communities seem to be a big part of this. And like it gives me hope. It gives me hope for my generation, for my son's generation, um, future generations, that maybe we go back to some of the older, simpler stuff and kind of. Do you want to take care of that, Big Kid? Um, um, where we're supporting um, each other, doing stuff for each other, um, you know, just everything, right? And the grassroots, the learning from our ancestors, learning from our stories. Um, you know, one of the Spuddly Speaks thing, where that all started from is I've wanted to do a podcast like this for um, years, and I've never quite had one the opportunity, but more so it's the time and to put myself out there. Um, and so like for me it's these stories that make life. It's hearing these stories about all the different people. Like, you know, there's one of our friends, Cajun, that's going through a hard time, but everyone's there for him, and he's hardest on himself, and we don't need to know. We just know he's in pain, and it's just like, you know what, whatever, dude, we're there for you, right? And our own inner circle, there's so many people that have a trouble with this or this going on or that going on, and we're just there for each other. And you know, that's something amazing. And I see these little webs getting bigger, and there's so many interconnections. And it is the bigger creators like Steven and that, and like Mama Connie, and Courtney's getting up there, and people like that that are keeping this spreading. And then you like Cajun, and then the people up here in Canada, like it's a movement to me that feels like it's growing, and it's just being humble and going back to loving thy neighbor. And it gives me a chance to learn again, because I would get to learn about all these different cultures and all these different religions and all these different people from around the world by being in security. And what it taught me is that we are all people, and we have different beliefs, and we believe in different things. But when it really comes down to it, in one way or another, we really don't know how the hell any of this came to be. And at some point in your life, you hope you figure out that every day you get is a miracle. Because that's the only way I can explain it. Is every day that I get to live is a miracle. And I'm happy with that. And, you know, I look like at Brian, who has got horrible news at times about some stuff that he has to get done. And he literally laughs it off and reboots. And, you know, there's other people that just can't talk about it, don't want to talk about it, or will open up a little bit about it, or whatever they need to do. But there's just so many people dealing with so much suffering. You know, look at what's been going on in Florida, and the Carolinas again and stuff like that. And yeah, see, Canadians do follow, the states pretty closely. I know you guys don't get as much about us down there, but that's because we have like a tenth of the population as you guys. But, you're our big brothers to the south. You're older than us, you're bigger than us, and you were smart enough to say screw it to the EU and England, pretty much. And but we're also very thankful because you keep us very safe. But we also got your back. Like, I remember when 9/11 happened, so many people, hey, Amber, so many people from up here, especially on the West Coast, because we have some pretty specialized teams up here with all the mountain and trains and stuff like that for rescue. And a lot of them are sent down for 9/11 to help out and help, not just the survivor search, but the recovery part of the thing. And a lot of our firefighter crews and stuff like would do rotations to go down there and help out. And a lot of people ended up dying of the same diseases that the poor US firefighters and emergency responders are dying of. And you know I can't imagine the families, what they must feel for those people that are gone. And, you know, yeah, Canada gets a bad rap for being the aid country. But, we kind of do that wisely because the more people that love Canada, the more people are going to kind of protect us. But honestly, we're happy that your guys' money is worth more than us. We kind of look at it as the American tax because the thing is like you guys have a huge ass defense budget. We have little tiny defense budget. Like there's probably more weapons in one of your major cities, and I'm not saying this is bad, but there's probably more weapons in one of your major US cities than all the people in Canada. And that's including military forces. Like it is just like it's not even a tenth. Like we have like 100,000 military personnel that have that's it. Like Tony Eland says that Florida can take us over. They could, but they're not going to because Canada has a lot of water, and between like Texas and Alberta, like we have enough oil to supply the North America like for a long, long time. And we can grow all the food here that we would need, and we don't need that Asian Europe continent. And we just love Australia so much that Amber, we take care of Australia. I have a very spot for Australia. The rest of them, not so much. So, yeah, there's so much camaraderie starting to go. And, I think the biggest letdown for me, because my mom's side of the family was all from the Ukraine. I still have family members back there. Unfortunately, since my one uncle died, I have very little contact, if any contact, with a lot of the family back there. But, I have boxes of pictures that my uncles took when they went on the trip back there. And, like, I'm looking at the pictures that they took of where like my great grandfather's house was that's 400 years old and this and this, and then like I see on the news the same area and it's a big crater. that was like a really hard thing to watch for me. And everyone is going, oh, this isn't right. This isn't, this shouldn't be happening to the Ukraine and stuff like that. And then why aren't we doing something about it? And because it is a huge powder keg. Because North America doesn't want to get involved in it because, um, we just don't want that. The European Union, like, really, you look at Russia, China, and the European Union and the way they're going, I'm starting to see not a lot of differences. So, like, it's kind of hard to, like, who is the bad guy at times? I guess the winner is going to be the one that writes that story. I'm not sure. Um, but, it's just, I think we're too often fed one side of the story. And there's always two sides of the story. And so that ties me up into the final thing where Spuddly Speaks comes in. And, hi, Steve Jones. Um, so where the name Spuddly Speaks comes is Spud was always, it was said before, it was just kind of a nickname that I picked out with my brother's friends and stuff because they all had nicknames. And then the King came from a online, like, text-based multiplayer game with kingdoms and stuff, and I became King Spud in the game. And then there was forums and stuff, and I had like this bar and became the King Barman or so. Like, I can't even remember, right? And so, like, I've always used Spud or King Spud or some form of that in um, uh, kind of like my thing. And so, like, Spud Speaks, like, there's 5 billion people that use the name Spud. I should have, like, been really smart back in the time when I did it and no one used it and taken all the names. But I'm like, man, no one will ever use this name. Yeah. So I went and did the Spudly because a lot of people have called me that. And the Speaks comes from, there's this wonderful jazz blues singer called Almeda Speaks. And um, I remember, one, her music is beautiful. Sometimes it's hard to find, but you can find it on YouTube. I would, like, highly recommend going and trying to find it because, like, this lady is just unbelievable, her voice. And so my parents and I have met her and spent times with her and stuff like that, and my uncle. And so my uncle, my fairy godfather, that'll be a story for another time, um, have the same birth date. And it was his birthday, and we were at one of his friends' houses celebrating our birthdays. And it was a big party on the beach, and it's all like 60s love child, um, spirit, whatever you want to be type people around bonfires, just laughing and drinking wine and having a great old time. Probably were smoking some, other substances that I didn't know about back in that time. And so towards the end of the night, we were trying to make ice cream. And, um, I'm like all of 8 years or 7 years old, and just turning this ice cream like time and time and time and time again. And it wouldn't set. And so Almeida comes over and says, oh, I'm a healer, I'll heal the ice cream, Steven, right? and do you mind? And I'm like, hey, like, girl, try anything. And so she put her hands on the bucket. And I guess from just letting it sit for that couple of seconds and those couple more cranks, like the ice cream like froze and turned into like the most perfect ice cream ever. So like it was all about Almeida healing the ice cream. And that is like one of my first memories of all time, and I love it. Like I will never ever be able to like forget that image in my head of me just like it is pure magic because I'll never be able to explain it. I think I can explain it, but I never would be able to explain it. So, you know, that's where the Spuddly Speaks come from. And, you know, so kind of last week was a little bit about my backstory. This week was kind of filling it in and why I'm doing this. And then, you know, going on from now on in, it's going to be more of a just kind of like, hey, I'm going to give you guys some silly stories from time to time. Um, you know, we can talk about current things that are bugging us all. Then it's going to be um, open to your comments and questions from you guys and guests, and because you guys are going to be the big part of this, you're the ones that I want to do it for. Aw, Amber, you are such a sweetheart. Um, so yeah, um, you know that right there is why I do this, and it's not because just the coral. It's because Amber is a person that lives a long way away from me. But there's times when I can just say a few words and I know she knows how I feel. And same thing back. And, you know, like, it's, and it is what it is. Like, it's nothing that worries me. It's nothing that my wife doesn't like, because stuff like that would always kind of put stuff like that in my head. But I am who I am. And I'm tired of people trying to make me think that I'm someone I'm not. And at times that's me, but there's been a lot of people influencing that. And, you know, my wife loves me for who I am. The friends that are still around me love me for who I am. And I'm not changing that. You know, my son loves me for who I am. There's, you know, so many people have said, thank you for telling us your story, or thank you for sharing this. And even people that I think are worse off than me go, no, like what the way you handled some of this was like, we take strength in it. And again, that makes me feel good that someone that I deem is suffering a little bit more from me um, can take something out of this, and that maybe I can make them smile their day just a little bit better, and you know, having fun, because having fun is, well, just that, having fun. Um, so now that I think that I probably talked all your ears off, and anyone have any questions or comments or suggestions or just funny things that you want me to say, or yeah, you know. Just let me do this for a second. Yeah, that's what I was actually just going to make sure is that I have The box is open. Yes, good. So that's on.
So Amber said.
Pardon?
Amber asked how you're doing today.
How am I doing today? Not too bad. The last couple of days they changed. Hey, Chief. Um, they changed a lot of my medications and stuff, and one thing is they've had me on arthritis drugs for quite a long time because between football and other sports and stuff like that, um, it's taking quite a toll on my body for arthritis. So it's one of the intric uh, what's the word, hun? Intricators, or it reacts with one of my other drugs there, um, and so I can't take anything like that anymore. And going from one type of seizure medication to a second type of seizure medication, and that, so it's been weird, just like weird, and but it's also been good, um, because in the end things are changing out to be better. And I'm trying to play. Do-do. And I don't want to do that. Can I do this? Ah, eh, eh, eh. Up any? Can
Just
you?
whenever started. Oh, there you go.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that'll work now. Apparently the app doesn't like me too much. Maybe I made too many dick jokes earlier. Just saying. That could be part of it. That'll teach me. I have to realize I'm definitely not Steven Clout yet. Yeah, I've been kind of having a little bit of trouble all night, Chief. I don't know if I've done some stupid stuff to, like, TikTok is just like horrible, at times, and I'm like, it's perfect. The weather's like perfect out right now. The kids like all have gone in, and I'm just like chilling and relaxing, and it's just like, oh, we're gonna be a pain in the butt right now. Always seems to happen when you have the most fun that they start destroying it. Maybe they'll get me for drinking my Skittles drink powder. Might do a live later tonight. I guess I have to be her cheerleader for that, don't I? But I'm more than happy to be her cheerleader. She's like awesome, as you can all probably, um, yeah, I can't say enough about my wife or my son, who still wants no part of this. Like, Mr. Dad, let's record videos. I want to be a YouTube star and stuff. And, one of the things is, do I know anything about rugby league? If you, um, about 20 years ago, actually knew quite a bit. Um, Aussie Rules was my favorite to not only watch but to play, because up in Canada we would play Aussie rules some of the time. Um, I've played rugby, and those boys, let me tell you, are the most unbelievable. I have not heard of the Eels, but I have heard of the Panthers.
Put up boxes, gives them the option of going in.
Yeah, I have boxes if anyone wants a box, but I know I probably wouldn't get Amber in a box. Yeah, no, isn't like Saturday like college football day for most Americans? You know, yeah. See, I know. Um, up here, like we really like in the kind of, we call it the Lower Mainland. It's like the Greater Vancouver area. It's kind of like the Greater LA area, Greater Toronto area. All the little things around it are kind of included, right? And we have two universities up here, and they have sports teams, but like, you might be lucky to get a couple of thousand fans at, a regular football game up here and stuff like that. And then like our high school teams up here, like, unless it's like starting to get to the like finals and stuff like that we get to play in one of our big stadiums here, you're lucky if you have 50 people watching that game, and that's both sides, right? It's just, it's not really, that community like it is in the States. Baseball up here is, hockey up here is, um, Canadians, sticks, ice, pucks, eh? But, like those families tend to be a little more close knit. The soccer, and I think it's because like some of the training lasts longer than that. Football season's usually kind of quick up here, and it's just kind of like there's basically two times a year in Canada. And like, I really hate to say it, but it is true. It's not a stereotype. You have hockey season, and you have the off season, and there's other sports kind of thrown in there with it, but you really don't, maybe curling. There's like a lot of curling that gets watched in Canada, because we're just crazy up here. Nanook from the north, that we all live in our igloos and stuff like that. I've never seen an igloo. Well, a lot of people laugh at curling. I kind of can't. Um, so on my dad's side, my great grandfather um, came over from England, and they stopped. They ended up settling in a town called Vernon, and like between my grandfather and my great grandfather, they were like stonemasons, builders, and everything. And so they built the old customs house in a Soyuz that's no longer there. If anyone looks it up, you can see pictures of it. And they also built in Vernon, BC. There was the old Vernon Arena, and my great grandfather and grandfather built that. And most of my grandfather's life, was spent managing arenas. So curling is kind of in my blood a little bit too much. You know, there, I will admit, one of my guilty pleasures, there used to be a game that was called penguin curling, and it was basically how you could like chuck penguins down a sheet of ice and get them to blow up. And yeah, horrible. It's like, yeah. Well, no, I can kind of see that, Amber. It's, you know, I know you guys do get snow in Australia and stuff like that, but I also know that like big sheets of ice and stuff like that aren't necessarily huge there. No, it was not real penguins. It was like Newgrounds or something like that, and you blew up animated penguins. No, it's, you know, believe it or not, there is like penguins are all like um, South America, South Africa, and Antarctic. Like there's very little of any penguins up in the Arctic here. We get like the beluga whales and the humpback whales, and um, in one of the capacities I used to work in, I was privileged enough to watch a pod of blue whales come in under one of our bridges here and swim out. It was probably one of the coolest things I ever saw. Like, you know, if you think the whale is cool on the app, to actually
Cat
see.
said hello.
Hey, hello. Hope your day was great too. But yeah, wanting to watch an actual, you know, whale come jumping out of the water that is like bigger than most boats that you see at times is pretty remarkable. And yeah, it's like to see a huge blue whale next to a container ship and to notice that the blue whale's not much smaller than the container ship. Well, you know, Amber, there is a lot of screwed up stuff in this world, and I would hate to say that that would always be a silly thought, but we know that, you know, not always that's a silly thought. There's a lot of weird crap that goes on in this world that I don't get. But does anyone have anything exciting they want to talk about? A pet they want to talk about? A new show they want to talk about? How what's the new movie that like came out? There's like a new movie that came out, Hocus Pocus 2 or something like that, that everyone's been talking about, and people are like having watch parties and stuff like that, and I don't even know that there was like a Hocus Pocus 1. Not that I can actually watch movies at the moment, but like, am I totally missing something here about all this hype over a movie? And like, has anyone actually made anything like new and exciting in the past 20 years?
Can I eat my dinner? Hmm.
Okay, so like, are you guys still? Well, now it's actually telling me I have a good connection. So, was that your fault? Were you hogging all my internet? No, no.
No, I was eating.
You were eating, were you? Here's my son. Don't know if you guys can see him.
No, I was eating.
And
I was eating.
so you weren't playing a video game and stealing all my internet?
No.
No?
I was eating.
Okay. Well, I think
Can you see
you
my
need to get a
green?
job now. No, I can't see your green spot showing, so, that's a good thing. So you're not telling daddy or mommy a lie. Say hi.
Hi.
Say, my name is Caleb. No, you just go eat in front of everyone? Like, wow. Tired. Oh, you at least waved. Okay. Well, tell you what. Oof. Mommy put onion in that. I love you, but yeah.
I probably forgot to brush my teeth or something.
Some comments were filtered to protect the community's experience. No, I don't want to filter words. No? Okay. So, yes. I don't know, my internet hates me tonight. So how's everyone doing? What can I say? What can I do? I can do a little dance. Or I can bring back, this is one of my most favorite videos to do because, like, really it is so me. And, it's like, I have a glowing frog on my head because I like putting a glowing frog on my head. And, yeah, why not? I love having a glowing frog on my head. Hey, Lisa. And yeah, it's glowing. I really need to get my hair cut. I don't know if you guys saw, but, I'm pretty sure I did a really crappy job on it, but I could do the best I could. I got rid of half the beard and just went back to the goatee for right now. And, I thought it was all blonde hair, and that's why you couldn't really see some of this part here until when it was all in the sink and it's white hair and you couldn't see that part. So I'm just not quite sure that I like how much white and silver was in that much of that beard that I chopped off. So, you know, when I get my hair cut and things are, I'll see about the beard coming back or not. My wife loves that the beard is gone finally. And I still have a glowing frog on my head. Yes, I'm really, crazy at times. Let's see who's here right now. I think I've scared everyone off now. Maybe the glowing frog on my head wasn't the smartest idea I did. I'm not sure. But, I have been on for an hour straight now, and it has been a pretty good night. So, maybe it's time to say this is time to put this episode in the can. Thank you again for everyone that came along with me on this journey. Thank you everyone for all the likes and shares and stopping by. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Amber. You know, that was awesome. And I will talk to you all soon. And hopefully, you know, my next live won't be quite as crappy with the connection. I'll have to go give my Wi-Fi router a beating. So until next week, stay safe.